commitment is a proper definition for Javier Villegas. Commitment to win, to progress in his riding, and to move forward despite any hurdles. This commitment is the outcome of a solid mental strength. In the past week, Javier came to Brazil to compete and to secure another victory in the most traditional contest in the country. This time, tackling a challenging course that uniquely mixes dirt sections and airbags. I sat with Villegas just after the FMX Brazil International qualifying. We had a conversation about his journey, the hurdles that the Chilean had to overcome, and a broad analysis of FMX these days. The talk was energizing and certainly a motivational push for anyone pursuing dreams. Thank you, Javier, and now enjoy the show. I'm your host, Jose Gaspar. Javier Villegas, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm glad to be here again in Brazil visiting. I'm a little bit sore. I had a little bit of a crash today, a little bit of spill, but I'm pretty good actually. For what it was, I'm pretty good.
By the way, thanks a lot for taking the time to sit with me here. I know you are very busy. You have a very important competition tomorrow, so thank you.
No worries. My pleasure to be here, man. Anything that helps the sport grow and be known to the world, I'm down.
So, Ravi, well, let's get started. Ravi, again in Brazil, again competing. So, how many times did you compete here?
I think I want to say I've been here around 5 times. First time I came here was in 17. Came again in 18, 19. Came one last time before COVID. Then there was a year nothing happened, so we came back on 21, 22. Came back again, and 23 we didn't have this event. And now we're back. So this is my 6th time here.
And how many victories do you have?
So far, I got 2 victories. My first year. Then on my last visit, I got another victory. Then I got 2 second places. And there was 1 year that I got sick the day of qualifier. And I got a 7th place because I got sick of the. I think I got food poisoning that time. And,
yeah, I remember
then it
that.
rained.
Yeah,
and then it rained on finals, so we couldn't do the finals.
Such a shame. In Ravi, well, in the last couple of years, you come to compete, but you lived in Brazil for a while. Could you tell me more about that? When was that?
Yeah, back, this is last century. It was back
in the 90s, I think, right?
At the end of the 90s, at the end of 98, my dad got a job in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah.
So we moved there. I did high school there. I lived the whole year of 99 there. So part of 98, the whole 99, and a few months, I want to say like 3 or 4 months of 2000s. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's when my FMX career started.
I was about to ask you that. Did you start riding here or not?
I was racing motocross.
I see.
Since 93 was my first race.
In Chile?
In Chile. Okay. My first race was in 89, and I sucked. Big time. No, I think it was. It was 89.
It's part of the process, man.
It's funny because like this first race was very important to what my story is.
In 93.
In 89. My dad got me a 50. They took me to a race, and I crashed every single lap of that race because I was trying to jump as far as the bike would take me on this single jump on a 50, and I didn't know how to jump. I just wanted to jump, and I think it was back then that I knew that I didn't care for turns, for technique. All I wanted was jump as far as my bike would take me. After that, I went to another race and I got dead last again. And my dad's like, you know what? There's no future on this kid with dirt bikes.
Really?
Yeah. So let's do something else. So we kept on riding.
I see.
Like trail riding on the hills of the city that we lived in. And we never raced again. Then we were just talking about this with Giorgio Negretti.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That I think that same year at the end or early 90s, they did a huge supercross race in Viña del Mar.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And he was racing, and I went to see that race, and I remember hearing his name.
Yeah.
I was a kid. I wasn't in love with dirt bikes, but that like caught my attention. Like, this is jumping. This is what I want to do. Like, I want to jump like these guys. My cousins were racing. Both my cousins were racing, and Giorgio Negretti was there. Adrian Roberts. There were a bunch of like big names from South America.
Uh-huh.
And then I kept on riding with nothing serious. 93, my dad got me my first 60, and that's when I got my first national race.
Mm-hmm.
Dead last again. But 2 races I did dead last, and my dad was like, this sucks. Putting all this money.
But how strong was motocross in Chile back in the day?
At South American level, wasn't that great.
I see.
It wasn't like every Negrete would go there and smoke everyone.
Yeah, I
the
got it.
Argentinian
Yeah.
guys would go there and smoke everyone. Like there were a few here and there good riders, but it wasn't strong. And yeah, my dad got really frustrated to see that spending all this money getting me a new bike, buying me new gear, and I just sucked. Back in '94, we went to the U.S. on a family vacation, family trip, and my dad took me to see a race at Paris Raceway. He was looking for a Lake Elsinore track, and he got lost. And we ended up arriving to Paris Raceway, and there was a race going on that day.
But was our father involved if you dirt bikes in any way?
Yeah, my dad used to race back in his young days, and him and my uncle were riding buddies all the time, so they were all about dirt bikes. Then we went to watch this race. We watched this race, and I thought it was freaking amazing to watch, like, one race after the other, and all these kids like doing stuff. It got an impact on me, but I didn't know. It didn't hit me until we went back to Chile after not touching my dirt bike for almost 2 months. They invited me to a race close to my house. And I remember we went practicing, and I was so out of shape. I rode like 5 laps, and I was exhausted. My dad's like, what?
How old was you?
This is 94. So 11. I was 11. And I remember we went to this race. That's why we went to this race, because a bunch of friends went to that race. And my dad's like, what? It's going to be like the grilling in the afternoon and racing. But for some reason, that visit to the US and watching that race sparked something in me. So we went to that race. I got a whole shirt and I won my first race ever.
Wow.
It made no sense. From that last,
maybe motivation, I don't know, something.
Yeah, something started.
Just click it.
The day before, I rode 5 laps and I was out of breath. So it made no sense for what happened.
It's interesting, man.
Yeah. I mean, I know it was like watching that race. Probably I pictured it like, I want to be on those races. And you know how seeing yourself doing something is 90% of doing anything.
For sure.
So probably I saw myself on those kids.
Everything for me, yeah.
Yeah. And I won that race. And after that, I just got obsessed with winning. So I started training, I started practicing.
Amazing.
And I got pretty good. I got technique. Now I know how to actually jump without crashing. So I'm doing the big jumps I wanted to do, but I'm also fast.
I see.
And I'm winning. I was twice runner-up national champion. I didn't get to win the championships. Then on my last year in Chile, I'm riding my 85, and I learned to do can-cans, no footers, nothing, stuff like that. And I skip a few steps. So when we practice, my dad taught me how to do like little whips, one-handers. Said like, it's very important for you to control your bike as much in the air as in the ground.
He said that to you?
Yeah. So we started like doing one-handers, and I noticed like, like Jeremy McGrath when he wins and does a big. So I wanted to win so I could do tricks.
I see.
But that was my motivation to win now, doing tricks.
I see. I want to talk about your career. Well, you were the first South American rider to move to the US to build up a freestyle career. Well, why did you do that? And when was that?
That was so long, like that was a few years of work, because I wanted to do it as soon as I started doing FMX. I wanted to do that.
I see.
There was no money. I had no contacts. I slowly started building and meeting people, stuff like that. Then my dad, because of his job, that took him to different cities in Chile. Then took him to Brazil, back to Chile. Then he got moved to the United States. So they moved first a year before. I stayed behind because my girlfriend, my wife now, she was pregnant. Claudia, yeah. And I didn't want to walk away from that. Like I was going to stay. I wanted to be a dad. And they left before I did. They stayed a year, and then I moved with them for a little bit. And that's how I started chasing my career, which was so hard. Hard to be the first South American.
I can imagine.
With no credentials per se, so who's this guy?
When was that, more or less?
2000, at the end of 2005.
Wow. Was the Global X Games back in 2003 your first, let's say, major FMX event?
That was my first major FMX event, because I did have another international events, but nothing big. That was the first major and my first actual contest. There was that.
Was that your first contest?
My first contest.
Wow.
Yeah. And right after that, I got invited to XM Experience, which was like a 2-month long event they did in Disneyland and California Adventure Disneyland. It was FMX every day, and I got to do 2 weeks of that. So doing that, I came back with a mentality that I wanted to watch the sport grow in South America, and that's when I started working on the first Latin American championship that we did
in 2004 in Viña. I remember that.
2005.
Yeah. What memories do you have that first Global X Games?
Well, I was excited to be there. My goal was to learn to flip before getting there.
Who was flipping there?
It was Kenny Bartram and Nate Davis. But I had no foam pit. There was no foam pit.
Yeah.
These guys were flipping to like sand piles, mulch, stuff like that. Like broken branches and stuff like that. And I tried to do something like that in Chile. And I built a little jump and I went for it. Bike landed upside down, broke everything on the bike. And getting back in the day, in Brazil was the same. Getting parts for bikes wasn't like it is today that you ordered it within a few weeks, you get it home. Like if you break something on your bike, you're without a bike for months. So I said, like, okay, it's not going to happen. And I had no guidance. I didn't know how to build a lip for a flip. I just carved the back of my landing with a shovel and the thing had no shape. It didn't work. It didn't work at all.
I see. Well, took you a little while to come back to X Games. So what was the spark to that comeback? What brought you back to X Games?
I have no idea. I have no idea why I stopped getting called to these events, because I got that and I was like, this is it.
I see.
Well, then of course I went to Chile, back to Chile. So I fell out of the map. Then I got invited to Red Bull X Fighters in Mexico, 2005. I competed there, got 7th place. And then I got into a little argument with Red Bull in Chile because they wanted me to do a show for free and I declined. So they put me on a blacklist of Red Bull invites. So that got me off Red Bull X Fighters and everything that had Red Bull involved, which was also X Games.
For many years, I think.
From 2000, this argument was in 2005 and I didn't get an invite until 2011.
And
I didn't know until 2010 when the promoter, Pachi from Fly Group in Spain, told me, we want to have you, but your name is on a list of riders that we're not allowed to invite.
I didn't know about that list.
Well, I found out there in 2010.
Ooh, wow. That's a story, man.
And then, 2009, because I spent all of 2009 and 2010 trying to clear my name from that list. And I went back to Red Bull Chile, said like, what the hell's going on with this? Why? And they told me like, well, the people that put your name on that list don't work here anymore. And I was like, cool. So you guys can pull me out. No, we're not allowed. They have this policy that they're not allowed to lift up riders that are not Red Bull riders. So it was Testuel that he put his foot down. So no, we want Javi and we're going to get Javi. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have made it to X Fighters or X Games.
I see. But you made the X Fighters before X Games? But Ravi, let's talk about freestyle motocross in a broad sense. Well, how different is freestyle motocross these days compared to, let's say, 10 years ago? I'm talking about as a sport, and I'm talking about as a business platform. How capable is freestyle motocross to attract sponsors?
Well, it's not what it used to be. I think back 10, 15 years ago, if you did it good at a contest, it was life-changing. You had all the sponsors, like the energy drink, the monthly payments, and it's not like that anymore. Now it's all about social media content. Yeah. So you don't have to be, no disrespect for the guys that have made it, but you don't need to be an exceptional freestyle rider per se. Like you don't have to have the gnarliest tricks. You have to have the style. I see. And that's how guys like Axel and Patrick Evans.
When you mean style, you mean like a lifestyle, not a riding style.
No, I would say the riding style. It's like watching Patrick Evans get upside down on his Varg, watching Axel Hodges revolutionize the whip game and the knick-knack tricks, like standing and stuff like that. It changed the whole game. So riders like me, like Adam Jones, like all the riders that are chasing Taka, chasing the big tricks, they're not relevant anymore. It's all about how much social interaction you get, social media interaction you get, and how do you get that? Being that people can relate to you. How they can relate to you if you're not doing ridiculous tricks, ridiculous whips. People say, "Yeah, I can walk my way into whipping."
I see.
But the guy that grabs the dirt bike today is not gonna say like, yeah, I can work my way into flipping. You know, they watch us do flip rock solids, flip tsunamis, surfer takeoff flips. They say like, that's undoable. There's no way I can do that. But they watch these guys riding the hills. Like, oh yeah, I can go ride the hills.
I see.
So that's what attracts the sponsors now. So all these bigger events, like X Games and all that, they're not as important for riders anymore because like you get these invites, you gotta pay your own way to get there. You're barely gonna walk away with zero money or with less money than you got there. So it's definitely not worth it. So there's riders like Ronaldo. He declined his invite for X Games. It's not worth it. The money I make is not worth the risk I take to go there and maybe not make enough money. And I'm absolutely 100% with him. Dude, we're risking our lives. We should have at least some money guaranteed when you go there and let go of your bike freaking upside down.
I see. Well, that's a very interesting point. And in your point of view, would it be possible to do to make, let's say, freestyle motocross big again?
I do believe.
Question.
Yeah, I do believe that every sport, especially these, work in waves. Mm-hmm. Like they have a peak, then they disappear. They start climbing. There's a new revolutionary thing. It peaks again, and it'll disappear. You gotta just ride that wave, and that's like guys like I said again, Jones, Tack, and me. We're 40.
I hear the same thing from Rob Alderberg like a week ago about these waves.
Yeah, like I feel like freestyle is again regaining its relevance, but it's been in a downhill for a while. But it feels like it plateaued down. It's starting to catch up again. Like people starting to like it again, and I think us as riders, we also have to put off our side. When freestyle was big, there was a lot of entitlement. Riders were like, no, you're going to pay me this much and I'm going to ride like this. Or you're not paying me this, I'm not riding at all.
Yeah, I remember those days.
And that started put us in a decline. Because like, I don't want to work with these people. So now we have to put up on our parts. Okay, let's say I want to get $7,000 to go do my biggest tricks. Dude, I only can pay you $4,000. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. I could be working a whole week for $700. Mm-hmm. I can ride my whole weekend for $4,000, have a blast. So what I did, instead of aiming to the money, I aim it to the challenge. My motivation, and like this is how I tell when we talked about this with some other riders. I don't ride for the money. I get paid to ride. And they're like, what's the difference? Like the difference when you ride for money, your goal is to make money. Mm-hmm. When you get paid to ride, your goal is to go out and ride, have fun, and get money from that. So that's how I changed my mind. And I think that if a bunch of riders get that mindset, we might bring freestyle back.
For sure. But don't you think that the end of Red Bull X Fighters was a key moment to put the freestyle down?
Absolutely. Red Bull X Fighters was one of our biggest platforms. We got 5 stops every year, televised worldwide. Mm-hmm. Every time I get a podium at X Fighters, I was in all the news covers in Chile. Mm-hmm. And of course, when they shut that down, it was a huge decline. There was no televised event. Nitro World Games tried to do the same. The format, I guess, is too expensive. Mm-hmm. And also, no disrespect for the new generation. I don't want to sound like an old man that hates on the new generation. I understand change. But this new generation want like quick gratification. No one's going to watch a 90-second run. They want to watch 15-second excitement. And that's what we need to work on.
That's interesting.
I think that's what we need to work. If we want to be relevant again, we got to cater to the new generation. Sucks for us that are old people that don't know how to cater to them. Yes. But again, the new generation, the Colby Rajas, the Axel Hodges, the Patrick Evans, they do their 15-second clips and people love them. That's what we got to do. Find a way to make a 15-second contest per rider. Grab the attention of the spectator. Because that's what this generation's brain can hold.
That's the reality right now.
It is the reality. There's no point on fighting it. If you want to be relevant, if you want to keep having fun with this, if you want to keep making a living with this, you got to get with the times.
I see. So let's talk about the competition here in Brazil. Well, let's start talking about the course. How do you think about that? How do you feel?
My opinion, from all the times, because I come to Brazil a lot, Night of the Jumps.
You are like a most Brazilian. You speak Portuguese very well.
I feel like at home when I'm here.
Yeah.
Because I've done this event several times. I've done some other events. when it was the Brazilian FMX Cup. I did Night of the Jumps, Red Bull X Fighters, and this has been a bunch of times. I would say like this course is second best to the course that we had in Brasilia.
Amazing.
For Red Bull X Fighters.
Cool.
That thing was huge.
Yeah.
But I like the way how we grabbed the both most important parts of freestyle, which is the show part, the ramps and the airbags, and we grab a side of the hill and make it free ride. I think that's like the coolest thing I ever seen in my life. Never seen it.
I was reflecting on that. I was talking to people from TV, and I think that's the very first time that happened.
First time they get land from an airbag. Because that's the thing, riding dirt and riding airbags is two different techniques. As we will talk later on my crash.
Yeah.
But an airbag requires one technique to be safe, and then you go to dirt and it doesn't work there.
And how challenging is that?
It is challenging because you gotta be a really like adaptable rider. Like not every rider can adapt that quick. Like you can notice like some of the riders today on qualifier would land, take their time, turn around, and then hit the dirt head. Because they gotta get their minds ready for it. Understandable. It's a hit. It's not a flip of a switch. I train myself like this. I train myself to be under constant pressure and being able to make split-second decisions. And I was just a few riders, like if you see the most technical riders were able to land from the airbag and immediately switch to the dirt course without losing a beat.
Yeah.
Like it's still
Keeping
getting
the
a
flow
good
all the
landing,
time,
and still getting a good landing on the dirt and connecting, because it's not only going from the back to the dirt. You go from the back to the dirt to another dirt. Doing sequences, it's hard already by itself, even when you're just doing one. But if you have to do airbag to dirt to another sequence,
step up and step down.
Also step up. And I think no one has here in Brazil, no one has ever flipped a step up. I flipped my first step up like a month ago. By chance. I wasn't training for this. I wasn't expecting this.
Was that a coincidence?
It was just a coincidence. I was just doing a bunch of free riding because my son,
for you.
my oldest son, talked me into doing free ride again. Because I
saw this video, by the way.
I was over it. I was over free riding because there was a lot of like no-namers, drama. Like if you don't shovel, you're not allowed to ride. And it's like, it's not that I don't respect the no shovel, the shoveling I'm doing, but sometimes I got a life, I got a wife, I got kids, I got stuff to do. I can't spend a whole week shoveling with you guys. But my kid talked me into it, and I started flipping the jumps, and it was just a coincidence that I flipped that step up that looks exactly like this step up here. It almost looks like I asked them to build that. And then I flipped the step down, which I've never done in my life. I've never seen it.
You know, what is that?
The step down?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. It's like you get like, so you can do the step up. You're on top of the hill, and then you got another 63 or a 19 meters double stepping down.
But in California, right?
No, here.
No, I mean, where do you...
My step up was in California, on the Bowman Hills, like where it all started. It's actually, that jump was built by Ronnie Renner over 15 years ago. It was abandoned. The guys over there rebuilt it.
And this competition has a not very common format that kind of merges best trick in a freestyle. Do you like that?
I love it because it gives the opportunity to the riders to show their best technique and their best tricks. Sometimes like these complicated courses, the riders they can't put it together and show what's the best they can do. So they just focus, okay, I have to survive for 90 seconds. What do? The tricks that I know I'm not going to fail. So now we got that first part where you do that. I'll do what's safe, quote unquote safe. And then you got, best trick. Now I'm going to throw myself to the fire. Whatever goes. So I'm absolutely, thrilled to watch how is this going to go, because we haven't had any of best trick more than practice, and so far it's looking amazing.
Yeah. By the way, you crashed, but you finished the qualifying in first. How confident are you feeling to get another victory here despite the crash?
Well, I gotta see how I sleep tonight and how I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, because it's the day after the crash. It's always harder.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Johan, the Mexican guy, because he told me, because he watched me practice too much. He said, dude, I still need to get, because they fixed my bike and it feels like a completely different, I feel like I'm riding a different bike. So I had to adjust my flip levers and everything since I broke my handlebars. And he told me, dude, you're pushing it too hard. Like you're working your ass off. I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but I'm worried about you. And I'm like, listen, Johan, thank you. But here's the deal. The guy that crashed, that was Javier. When I got my helmet on, I'm Astro Boy. Astro Boy didn't crash. Like the guy that's hurting
That's
right now.
commitment, man.
Yeah, the guy that's hurting is Javier. The guy that's riding is Astro Boy.
That's commitment, man.
So it's not only today, but it's like I put my helmet and I put a mask. I'm a character. Like I'm a different person. In person, I'm shy. When I'm in riding mode, I'm aggressive.
It's like a switching mode. Yeah. That's interesting, man.
Everything that's happening outside of my helmet, it's irrelevant. Like my brain goes silent. I can't hear the people. I don't hear my bike. Everything goes silent. I'm like, the bike and me are just one being at that time. There's no pain. There's nothing. There's just like the motions I have to follow.
Did you develop that skill or that just came up naturally with the time?
I think it slowly developed, but when I noticed that it was helping me, I worked it. I created it. I reading psychology books. There was this great book that I recommend to everyone that's called Mind Gym. And
who's the author? No, I Google that later. No worries.
Yeah, I don't remember the and
what is the main lesson
that
from the book?
That 90% of your success comes from your brain, from your mind.
That's a statement, man.
Yeah. Like, if you think you can succeed, you're 90% sure. If you think you're not going to succeed, you're 100% sure. So
it's powerful.
Yeah. So today I was in pain when I went in qualifier. I was riding a whole different bike. The throttle reaction was actually my first run. I missed every landing because the bike has so much power. But I kept repeating, like I buckle up my helmet, goggles on, and I repeat to myself nonstop, you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. And I make it a reality. Like I don't know if you get to watch the practice, like the warm-up sessions we did this morning. I did my run right off the back. No one mistake, because I put on my helmet on and so that you practice for this every day. Like your work is done. You did your work. Now it's time to go out and have fun. And you know exactly what you're doing. And I blocked everything out. Like whatever, I crash, I fought with my wife, my kid is having bad grades at school. None of that matters at that time. Once I let my last jump, all the noise comes back to my brain and I disconnect again and I celebrate. So whether it's good or bad, it's going to be over in a second. But before that, I'm disconnected from reality.
I see. And just to clarify, how did you crash?
So yesterday, there's several factors, but yesterday when we were practicing this ramp, we had some headwind. So we had to hit the ramp a little bit faster. Today when I went to do the trick, there was no wind and I overjumped a little bit, and the bike, the way I pulled, moved my bars a little bit. So when I came back, I missed my throttle hand and I grabbed it upside down. As soon as I grabbed it upside down, I knew what was going to happen because it happened before. That's how I broke my femur the last time. And I said, like, don't throttle it, don't throttle it. And the motion of not throttling, which is pushing your hand forward, actually throttled it. Full gas and the airbag has so much traction, the material has so much traction that made the bike do a 12 o'clock wheelie into the concrete. So I lost the bike and I just like dragged my butt through the concrete, these bricks that we have. And luckily it was just like mostly road rash and nothing else.
And how are you feeling right now?
Well, my butt's a little bit sore because you're still coming doing what? 50 kilometers an hour, from that straight to my butt. And I dragged myself for about
and by the way,
meters.
You crashed not in the dirt.
No, I didn't crash, not even in the airbag.
Yeah.
I missed the airbag because that's what we were talking with some friends. Like, the airbags are so great until they're not. Yeah. And they teach you a whole new way of crashing. Like stuff that's going to hurt you very bad on dirt is going to save you on the airbag. But things that you could save on the dirt, you're not saving on the airbag. That's what I was saying. It's a whole different technique.
You crash it like, how can I say that? In a rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because like this ground is just bricks, just rock
exactly.
on the ground.
Yeah.
So I slid for like 25 meters on my butt. Like I'm missing, my pants are gone. It went through my pants, underwear, and most of my skin.
I see. Well, what do you think it's the pathway to take the victory here?
I think like I've noticed every year, and that's what because I've been trying to help Johan and Esteban and Colby. I took them under my wing to come here. And I told them the most important thing to do good, not necessarily win, do good. Don't make any mistakes. Don't try to go for your craziest tricks. Go for the tricks that you know you're going to land. Because everyone else is going for the crazier tricks. They're going to mess up. So I think the goal is, well, I train hard. Like, I do my tricks almost every day. The only trick I don't do every day is the rock solid flip, which I plan to do tomorrow, but I'm not I did one in practice today. I did a couple in practice, but I've never done it on a standard ramp like today. I had done it on the moon booter. I've done it on the next gen ramp, never done it on a regular ramp. And I'm not doing it because I want to win. I'm doing it because I want to prove myself I can do that. That being 40 years old, I'm trying to impress that 16-year-old kid that lived in Rio de Janeiro when he was starting riding dirt bikes, that never imagined that at 40 years old, I would be still learning tricks. So that's why I want to do it. If that takes me to victory, yes, I'll take it. If it doesn't, I'll be happy because I learned something new. But don't get me wrong, I'm here to win. I'm here to win, and in my brain, in my mind, I'm the best rider out there until they prove me wrong.
I see. And Ravi, well, you accomplished a lot. You got 2 medals on X Games. You got a world title, have many other victories. What was your biggest achievement?
My biggest achievement right now is being able to do shows with my kid, with both of them. Like my youngest kid he rides BMX. We've done shows that I'm riding dirt bikes and he's riding BMX. Also, my oldest kid's done these BMX shows. And lately, I've been doing shows with my oldest kid on FMX. I think my biggest accomplishment is sharing my passion with my kids. Like all those trophies that I have in my house mean nothing. That was something that was. It's not anymore. The only thing that matters to me is like I'm sharing this with my kids. We're going to the hills. We're learning. And right now I'm doing it just to prove them you can always improve. Don't stay stagnant. Keep on pushing. Keep on learning. Not only in dirt bikes, whatever you do in life, just keep on learning. There's so many things to learn in life. Don't let the everyday take away your chance of learning.
I got it, Ravi, man. That was amazing. It was a pleasure talking to you. I wish you good luck tomorrow, and I hope to talk to you again very soon, man.
It's always good talking to you, especially on the mic, out of the mic, on TV, out of TV. It's always good talking to you.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thanks.